Hi, this is Brother Teacher. What I am about to do is going to be a little bit different than any other video that I have ever done. It's going to be strange to some, it's going to be shocking to some, it's going to be pretty bizarre to maybe others. But those of us who have undergone the struggle living in America as people of color, and more respectively, those that consider themselves black or African American, you can truly relate to what I'm about to do and the things that I'm about to say. I'm sure you have heard in the past decade or two about reparations for those descendants of slaves in America. Yes, those descendants who have had foreparents, forefathers, ancestors who have gone through how should I say, the tyranny of being different here on this land. We have had African ancestors that were brought here to America to build this country. And I won't say help build it. Who built this country? Free labor. There were also indigenous black people here, along with Indians, that participated. Let's not forget our Chinese brothers who helped with the railroads. Forgive me if I leave anyone out. But for the most part, blacks, so-called African Americans, were responsible for the wealth that this country has today, built off the backs of slaves. That's not a pretty history. To take a group of human beings and enslave them so that you can receive some benefit solely. Now, blacks, we all know, were raped, especially the daughters and the mothers. Blacks were made to commit incest and have sex, men with their sisters, with their mothers, to create more slaves for labor. That's just sort of a scraping of the surface. Blacks were hanged. They were disembodied. They were tortured. They were set on fire. They had their feet cut off, their hands cut off. They were tortured. All for just simply being who they were. Our ancestors, some of them, that came from Africa, or were brought from Africa, rather, they didn't ask to come here during that period of slavery. And the ones that were even indigenous to America, they had to endure harsh treatment, poor living conditions, just to build what we see today. Now, let me say this. There have been many, many other ethnic groups, to include whites, that participated in the building of this great country that we all love as America. I'm not talking about you, and I'm not disrespecting you, by no means. I'm talking about the abuse of blacks ever since we have been on this continent, which continues today. From Willie Lynch to Jim Crow segregation, to the abuse of blacks in the prison industrial complex, occupying the majority of the prisons for petty crimes, the being pulled over just simply because you're black, driving while black, the unlawful murder of blacks by police officers just because they can. Now, this is a bitter pill to swallow for some, and primarily from the standpoint of those that who are perpetuators of these types of behaviors against people of color. So what I'm saying here today is this. I don't believe that we, or people of color, or blacks, will ever see reparations in America. It would bankrupt America. It would take 100 years or more for that to ever happen. It's never going to happen. But whatever happened to, I'm sorry. In my lifetime, I have seen many presidential candidates that have led this particular nation. From Nixon, Reagan, the first Bush, Jimmy Carter, the second Bush, Clinton, Ford, Obama, and now Trump. No one has ever apologized for slavery. There's some that say, some whites that is, it's not my fault. I never did anything to blacks. Those were my ancestors. I'm not to blame. You are absolutely right. But you're still benefiting. You are indirectly benefiting from slavery. You are still considered an upper class as compared to black folks in America. The way in which whites are treated in America is like night and day when it concerns blacks. Blacks are treated worse. Our so-called judicial system is not equal. And anyone with common sense knows this. Anyone who has lived long enough knows this. Especially the young generation now. White man gets a slap on the wrist for cocaine. A black man with crack cocaine gets 20, 30 years in prison. Go figure. Where's the fairness at? You have an NFL player who takes a knee because of the police violence against blacks, being shot down in the street in cold blood by police officers. Remember this. Sandra Bland, a woman going to Texas to pursue college, possible job opportunities. She ends up dead over a traffic stop. He's arrested. She goes to jail. They say she hung herself in the cell. Remember, Eric Garner in New York. He's explaining to the police on the street how he keeps being profiled and that he's tired of them harassing him. And he ends up being choked by police and then piled on by the police and suffocating to death. Remember, Freddie Gray. He died after being transported in a police vehicle. He died from sustaining injuries to his spine. Remember Alton Sterling, outside of a friend's convenience store selling CDs. Police come and wrestle him to the ground. Don't even talk to the man like a human being. They find a gun is on his body. One shouts, "Gun," and then he's murdered. Remember Philando Castile, traffic stop. He's a passenger. His girlfriend's pulled over. He tells the police officer that he has a concealed carry permit. Police officer gives him the okay to get it. And then he tells him to stop. And he shoots him to death in the vehicle. Remember Timothy Thomas pulling his pants up after he ran down an alley, shot to death. Remember Laquan McDonald, Chicago. It was hidden by the local government for over a year. He's walking down the highway after the police were called for a disturbance of some sort. He sees the police cars coming towards him. He walks away. One police officer gets out the car and empties 16 rounds of his service weapon into this man, this 17-year-old, killing him, murdering him. Remember Walter Scott, South Carolina, traffic stop. Now, he begins to run away. Police officer stops, fires several times, killing Walter Scott while he was running away. Just simply a traffic stop. Remember Sam Dubose, university cop who was not even in his proper jurisdiction, pulls him over a traffic stop, shoots and kills him in his vehicle. Remember 12-year-old Tamir Rice, Cleveland, Ohio, with a play toy gun in the park. Police officer pulls up after being called. Even after the person who called said that it might be a toy gun, police arrive, pull up right beside the young man, and shoot him dead. Now, do I have to tell you what I'm saying? That's just a few cases. So to all of you people of color, to all of you people that are black, African American, Muslim, whatever you tend to believe in, I want to say to you, as just a fellow American that happens to be a person, a man of color as well, one of your brothers, and my white friends and my followers, please don't get upset with me, because I'm sure you would defend and protect your own people and your own ethnic group, your own religion, your own culture. You see, we're still trying to find out where we fit in America, because apparently someone doesn't want us to know who we are. Someone does not want us to know how special we are. Someone does not want us to be as treated equal as they are. Someone does not want us to be as prosperous as they are. Someone still wants to keep their foot on our necks. So I'm saying to all of you people that are listening to me right now, there has not been a president that has ever apologized for slavery. Even if they didn't mean it, they should at least acknowledge that it was heinous, immoral, inhuman, ungodly. Should have never happened. I don't care who the president was, and especially under President Obama's watch, being the first so-called black man in the office of president. He should have. I don't care how much flack he would have gotten, how much vitriol would have went his way, or the repercussions. He should have minimally in his office said, on behalf of the presidency, we apologize for slavery. Minimally do that. But since no president has ever done it, I'm going to do it right now. I'm not the president of the United States. I'm not a prime minister of any country. I'm just an American. We all bleed the same red. Black people, African Americans, I apologize to you for what the white oppressor has done to us. There you heard your first apology. I don't have to apologize, and there's probably no real reason for me to apologize, but someone should. Someone should have already done this. And the fact that it's never happened should say something to all of us. We have never mattered in the first place. The only thing that's ever mattered is what they could do as a result of our servitude in this country. They've benefited off the backs of us for so long. And some of us have become so comfortable. When are you going to take stock in yourselves, black people, African American people, Moors, Christians, Muslims, Israelites? When are you going to start taking stock in your own lives and that of your families, planting your feet firmly on the ground and saying, I do matter? And I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter. All lives matter, irrespective of race, color, or creed. We all matter. But my point is, we all have not been considered as part of the fabric of this country, this great nation, when we should be. I love everyone. That's just simply the way it's supposed to be. But what I abhor, what I hate, is the fact that we are treated less than everyone else in this nation. This is old news, but it is still current events. Again, before I part, I want to say again, black people, African Americans, I apologize for what white supremacist America has done both to our ancestors and continues to do to us today. But we are going to be okay. We cannot save the whole world, but we can save the world with one person at a time. First of all, acknowledging that we have a problem and starting with ourselves. Now, to all of my white constituents and all of my friends and all of my Asian friends and everyone out there outside of so-called blacks and African Americans, to everyone that's listening to me today, this is not a message of hate. Those of you that know me already know that what I say is the truth. This is just to get us all to think. Now that it's out here, I've made my statement, I made my declaration. Now, white America, Asian America, Middle Eastern America, Indian America, and every other ethnic group, especially Black America, what are we going to do about it? May the Almighty Creator continue to bless America and to bless us all. You all have a beautiful evening and or day wherever you might be. That was it, and that was all. This is Brother Teacher. I'm out.